NC Pork, raising the bacon, raising the bar.
Okay, we have Duke student athletes up on the podium. We have Cooper Flagg, we have Con Knippel, we have Tyrese Proctor. Gentlemen, welcome to Newark. Happy to have you here. We're going to go right to questions. Once again, if you have a question, just raise your hand. We will bring microphone to you, name and media affiliation before asking your question, starting here, center front.
Guys, you start 3 freshmen, 2 are here, and you really haven't had a lot of close games of late. I heard Grant Hill talking about, and this is probably all before you were born, but he was talking about when they faced UNLV, when they went through a similar season as you guys, where they kind of rolled, and then when they met Duke, all of a sudden they're in a tight game. Has the coaches talked about that with you guys, and how do you prepare for that? To face adversity when things have been pretty much just kind of cruising along.
We'll start with Cooper and then go to Con and then Tyrese.
Yeah, I think what I would say is we had some early, close games. We've had some, moments that we've been in throughout this year that I think we've kind of taken and learned from. Some of our losses, I think all 3 of them had some good late game situations that we definitely watched a lot of film on and learned from. So I think going forward, it's just about executing and taking what we learned from those games.
Con?
Yeah, we practice a bunch of game situations, whether it's end of half, or start of second half, end of a game. That's something we do a bunch in practice. So when the close games come, we'll be ready.
We faced adversity in the ACC tournament. UNC, Louisville, Georgia Tech, all 3 games. We were down or we had a lead, and they came back. But like Con said, like Coop said, we do end of game situation every day in film, and there's a lot of college basketball games going on in America. So there's a lot of end of game situation that we can learn from and execute when it's our time.
We'll go in front of me in row 2, right here at the end.
Hi, Robert O'Connell, Wall Street Journal. This one's for Cooper. A lot is made all season, obviously, your defensive versatility, your impact on that side of the floor. For you, what's the level of fun that comes from that? For a lot of college players, it feels like something that can be a bit of a chore, but it seems like you really embrace it. What's your favorite aspect of getting to change the game on that side?
Yeah, I think just being able to get energy from plays like blocking shots, getting steals, and those type of plays kind of lead to easier offense. So I think that's kind of where it starts from. And I think for us, even as a team in general, we just take pride and enjoy helping each other out, having each other's backs. So it's just about, being connected and playing together.
We'll stay here in front of me in row 1.
Hey guys, Adam Zagoria, NJ.com. Coop, I know you've had a lot of Maine supporters come to your games. We're not that close to Maine, but we're a little closer than Duke. Do you expect a lot of people from Maine to be here, and do you have other people coming to the game that you think will support you, and what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I already know a ton of people from Maine that are planning on driving up, so it would definitely be a pretty big, Maine population at the game, so I'm definitely excited to, see a lot of familiar faces.
We're going to stay on this side for one more in the row 3.
Matt Rybeltowski with Forbes. Cooper, congratulations on a great season. Last year in the tournament, Carolina beat Michigan State by 16. Baycott had 18 and 8, but yet he got 100 angry DMs on Twitter because he didn't hit the over on his rebounding total. Have you dealt with anything like that this season, and how do you block that type of stuff out?
No, not really. I think kind of like you said, the DMs and stuff like that. All throughout the season, we kind of see that a little bit. Talking for myself and some of my teammates, I know all of us have kind of gotten DMs and stuff like that, but it's not that big of a deal. We kind of just see it and laugh at it.
We're going to go on the other side, coming into row 2, kind of in the middle.
Con, obviously Duke has a long history of great three-point shooters on their team. For you, how did you sort of develop that game as a kid, or that part of your game as a kid leading up to this point, and what is it about the way you guys play offense that gets you so many open looks that you can shoot such a high percentage?
Yeah, we have a bunch of good shooters on the team, especially this guy and Isaiah and Cooper. So it's hard to guard a bunch of shooters on the floor, so it gives us a bunch of looks. But growing up, I mean, my dad was a pretty good shooter, so just learning from him, getting reps up. And, you know, I wasn't great in middle school, but as I got to high school, just the amount of reps that you take really helps you prepare.
Right behind her in row 3.
Stephen Joyce, ABC News. Cooper, for you. 3 years ago this month, to go to the main point, you won your state championship for Nokomis, actually against my hometown high school, so no beef here. But, you know, 3 years ago, you were a 15-year-old freshman. Now you're an 18-year-old freshman at Duke. You know, at 15 years old, could you have seen yourself on, you know, the biggest stage? You know, what motivated you to, you know, that point from a state title to now Sweet 16?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to something I like to say. It's just like, this is just something I dreamed about ever since I was a little kid. These are the moments that I imagined myself being when I was in the driveway, you know, things like that. So just a surreal feeling to, you know, be here in these moments and have these opportunities. I just feel really blessed.
We're in the back, standing. John.
John Fanta, Fox Sports. Cooper, I was talking with Matt Cohen from Montverde yesterday, and he told a story about you guys facing Paul VI last year, and that Pat Gongba was trying to say hello to you in the hotel lobby, and he said, I didn't get much of a hello back. He and Darren were kind of given the next year we'll be friends. How hard was that for you to stay locked in that moment and say, that'll wait for next year when we're buddies?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it's all competition. Like it's all friendly competition at the end of the day, but we can be friends outside of the court or whatever it is. But if I know I'm matching up against somebody or I'm about to play them the next day, I know I have to be locked in and be ready to have no friends on the court. So that's kind of where that comes from.
We're going to come back to this side in the front row right over here.
Cooper, Steve Serby, New York Post. How do you feel about the comparisons with Larry Bird, and what do you remember watching clips of Bird when you were a kid?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I grew up watching old Larry Bird videos and stuff like that. The 85-86 Celtics team and their championship that year. So obviously it's really cool to hear people say that. I mean, he's a legend, so it gives me a lot of confidence, and it's just a big compliment.
How do you feel about the comparisons?
The comparisons, I don't really have too much to say on how I compare to him or not. I don't really compare myself to anybody. I just try and be my own player.
We'll stay here in the second row on this side. End of second row.
Sean Walker from KSL Salt Lake City. This is actually for Con and Tyrese, but kind of about the guy next to you, Coop, next to you, because a lot of people are talking about him and his ceiling, his play, and what kind of thing. What's Cooper like outside of basketball, like as a teammate, as a, you know, one of your friends on the team, that kind of thing? And feel free to embarrass him as much as you want as he stares at you too.
We'll start with Con, and then we'll go to Tyrese.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he's my roommate. So I mean, he's very, very kind, but he kind of, you know, he kind of keeps to himself, you know. But he likes to joke around. He's a good guy. He's good to us, even when he's talking crap. But yeah, I mean, he's a great guy to be around off the court.
And Tyrese.
I mean, he's just a kid. Yeah. I mean, he's always joking around and stuff, but no, he's cool. He's cool.
We'll go on the other side, end of row 1.
Eric Jackson, Sportico. Cooper, you've been rocking the Nikes throughout the tournament, but you are with New Balance. Curious how much you would rather wear the newbies opposed to the Nikes during the tournament.
I mean, obviously I love New Balance, you know, and I would love to wear their shoe, but we're in a situation where Duke is, you know, with Nike, obviously, so just respecting the rules that are in place and kind of what we have to follow.
Okay, we'll stay here in the front row. We'll come to the middle. Why don't we use that microphone on this opposite side?
Rich Harris, Hoops Prospects. Tyrese, this question's for you. How has Sion, starting at point guard, I mean, you've been red hot lately, and they've basically made you an off guard for the most part. How has that helped you, and do you think you found a home? Do you think you really found your niche with this team?
I mean, Sion, is such an unselfish player. I think as a group, we're very unselfish in just understanding how we play together and understanding the spots that we can excel at on the court. So I feel like, Caleb, Sion, Con, Coop, really everyone, just being able to put me individually in a position to succeed, get into my spots. When I have the ball, I'm trying to do the same thing for them. So I think just having that understanding as a group is why, we're such a good team.
We have a question on Zoom from KCUB Radio, Wildcats Radio, so I'm going to put them on, if I can. Looks like I cannot get to them right now. Is that there?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
There we go. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, this question is for Tyrese. Tyrese, just you have obviously played the most games up there against Caleb Love. What have you enjoyed about the battles that you've had with him out on the court, whether when he was in North Carolina and at Arizona?
I think just the intensity. It's always a high-level matchup. It's always a great game, and that's really it.
And for Con and Cooper, you guys have you didn't really see a lot of Henry Vasar in that first matchup. What have you seen with him on tape and about what makes him good both offensively and defensively?
Let's do Con first, then Cooper.
Yeah, Vasar is one of those guys that just plays really, really hard, mucks up a game. Obviously, he's really dangerous on the offensive rebounds, but he knows how to play on both ends.
Yeah, I would say, to what Con said, just a good player. I'm going to play really hard, and he can just be a weapon for him.
Okay, do we have any more questions for the student athletes at this time? We'll do one more right here, Gina.
Cooper, I imagine it's hard to zoom out at this point when the goal is still in front of you, but just when you look over the course of the season, what are you most pleased with as far as where you've progressed in your game or improved?
I'm not really sure. I haven't really, taken much time to look back and look at the year we've had. I think something that I'm just most proud of is, our team as a whole just coming together and being so connected, going into so many battles together and just coming out with a lot of wins.
Once again, if you have questions for Coach, just raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Just give your name and affiliation before asking your question. But before we do that, Coach, welcome to Newark. Why don't we start with an opening statement?
Well, just for me and for our program, we're honored to be here, excited to be here. We know we play a really good Arizona team. A lot of respect for Tommy and his program. I think he's one of the best coaches. And for our group, we're ready to go. So I'll take any questions.
We'll start here front and center. We'll take the microphone from this side. Go ahead.
I'm waiting for Coach. I'm ready for you. Rich Harris, Hoops Prospects. Coach, this game has the potential, your front lines, both teams could look very different. I'm assuming Malik is out.
So Malik, it's day-to-day with Malik, and there's a chance he could be available tomorrow night.
Okay. Having said that, their front line's going to look a lot different. So having played them, does that game, back in the 22nd of November, does it have any relevance at this point?
I'm not sure how much it means, to be honest. I think watching that game back, I'm sure Tommy would say the same. We're very different, so are they. Different personnel. The game was slow. I think both teams are playing a lot faster. But naturally, there's still some things you can take away. But overall, I think we're two very different teams playing a lot more confidently. The cohesiveness of both groups is different. But I think the thing that's similar, anytime Duke and Arizona play, you have two proud programs, two teams that both expect to win, and it's going to be a physical, really tough game.
We'll stay in the front row here on this end, and then we'll come over here.
Hey, John, Adam Zagoria, good to see you. Caleb's obviously had some big games against Duke in his career. You guys kind of held him down in the earlier game. What challenges does he present defensively, and could he be a big factor in this game?
Well, sure. He's their leading scorer and leads them in assists. He's obviously a key player for them. The thing that he does, he can shoot shots at any time, and he can hit shots at any time. And, I think he's an improved passer, somebody that's not afraid. He's a really good player, and so that challenge is there for our guys, but they have challenges way beyond him. I mean, they put 5 guys on the floor that can all score and hurt you. But he's had a really good year, and it's going to be a tough matchup.
We're going to come in the front row here, opposite microphone.
John, Rustin Dodd from The Athletic. Big picture kind of coaching leadership question. Your program has always really been built on culture. And what are the challenges of kind of sustaining culture year to year with the NIL, the portal, roster turnover, and just the changes we've seen in the game?
Well, I'm sure what I'm about to say is obvious, but our program was built on players teaching players, in addition to obviously what the coaching staff has done. But it's something you would always pass down, and that's changed the last 10 years or so. I mean, with just one and done, and it's not like the transfer portal just started. But I think the fact that since transfer portal was entered, where you can leave at any time without any penalty, you have to deal with a new group almost every year. And I think that's the biggest challenge, where you feel like you can skip steps when you really can't. You have to start from ground zero every summer. And for us, we went back to the basics this summer of just how to build this team from the ground up, build the connectivity, teach the standards, hold them accountable to what the standards are. And that's something I know we're going to have to do each year going forward.
We're going to go in front of me, row 2, and then we'll go to row 3.
Danielle Stein, WCNC Charlotte. Is there anything about the team's approach mentally that surprised you this postseason that you'd say is different from how they had been the rest of the year, or has it been pretty consistent?
I'm not sure that's, I wouldn't say it's different. I think it's different circumstances. So I'm impressed with how they've been able to block out any noise and attention or expectations and just focus on, what's right in front of them. And, I'm proud of that. Obviously, that has to continue tomorrow night. But I think that gets harder to do as the season goes along. I mean, it's a shame everywhere you read or see, it's all about the transfer portal right now and other things going on, where we're the lucky ones to be preparing for a game. So our guys have embraced that and not worried about what's next, what's behind, just what's right in front of us. And to me, that's been the most impressive thing.
We'll stay in front of me, row 3.
Robert O'Connell, Wall Street Journal. John, the defensive level you've achieved and maintained this season, obviously it's a credit to the entire roster, but with the way college basketball is played now, with so much space, so many versatile offensive players, how important is Cooper's defensive versatility specifically to the scheme you guys have been able to put in and the level you just kept up all year? Yeah,
I mean, look, Cooper obviously is a huge part of what we do with every aspect. Defense in particular, his length and then his instincts. Just he closes that window quick. When somebody does have an opportunity, and I think it's led us to really protect our rim well, but also create some turnovers and steals to lead to easy opportunities, which is important for our team. And so for him, for our team in general, look, we have a bunch of guys that are versatile. Nobody more than him. I mean, just he's unique with what he does in that area. The thing he's done great this year, though, is guard the ball. So he's a guy that can guard 1 through 5, but his defensive instincts off the ball have been a huge part of what we've done on the defensive end.
We're going to go to the other end of row 3. Go ahead.
John, Adam Zlonka with Field Level Media. On the topic of Caleb Love, I think tomorrow is going to be the 13th NCAA tournament game he plays in his career, long career for him. How does that make the challenge of dealing with him in a knockout format more unique, especially when you have a younger team?
I just think for us, there's no magic to it at the end of the day. It's still basketball. It's still the same points we're emphasizing. What was it, November 22nd you said? Or what was the date? November 22nd? Because you want to win the game then, and now they're still the same points. It's the understanding if you lose, you go home. And so that makes it can make you feel differently. But at the end of the day, it's still about the same values and still the same emphasis from us as a staff. And for us as a player, for our guys as players. So I'm not sure how much weight I would put into that, although that is good experience, of course.
Next two questions are over here standing. Go ahead.
Hey, John, Brendan Marks from The Athletic. Just curious, what do you think has enabled Pat, Isaiah, and Caleb, despite somewhat of fluctuating roles throughout the course of the season, to sort of stay steady and to always be available, especially as they become more important in the postseason?
So I think it's been one of the biggest blessings as a coach this year to have guys that are ready. And of course, I think just honest conversations from myself, the coaching staff is part of that, but I think a huge part is the support staff that they have, and not getting too high or too low. And the reality is, especially as young players, there are going to be some moments that you don't play as well, you don't play as much, and understanding with this team that we have this year, certain matchups too, it depends. And so we've tried to keep them upbeat and understanding that's going to happen to somebody. And so just all of a sudden the next game, they can be totally different. And the three guys you mentioned, Isaiah, Caleb, and Pat, right? Those are the three. All have like amazing spirit. They have like a great spirit about them, really good confidence in themselves, but also the humility to look and say, okay, here's what I have to do better. Here's where I can take a jump. And obviously they've all given us a big lift in different moments.
We'll stay over there. Go ahead.
Hey, John. Steve Wiseman, News and Observer. I want to catch up with you guys about since Jay left for Miami, how's the staff filled his roles? Who's doing what? Is Justin Robinson doing more? Is Shragi doing more? Will Avery? Everybody? Just kind of how's that worked out for you? Now you're 5 games into it.
Naturally everybody stepped up. All three of those guys have stepped up and helped. The fact you're playing the NCAA tournament, you have 2 games a week. So Emmanuel and Chris, for me, have been just really key guys with handling all the scouting and all that, with help from the guys you mentioned. Our video team has done an incredible job too. But it's been as seamless as could be when you miss somebody like Jay. Jay's obviously great with what he's done for us and what he's going to do going forward. But it's been very seamless with Chris and Emmanuel stepping up and all those other guys being ready to go.
Back in the back at this end.
Connor O'Neill with Devils Illustrated. John, I have a philosophical question for you. Over the years, you've referred to defenses as baseball pitches. Like Kaman was the fastball, Malik was the splinker. Have you always done that? Does that come from a coach, youth coach that did it with you playing?
I don't know where. No, I don't know where I heard that one, came up with it. I have no idea. I just know how different they were as players. It's the best example I could give. I'm sure I could have given better examples. I don't know what pitch Pat is, because Pat's his own person too, and he's a little bit of each guy and his own guy. So I guess fastball, splinker, sinker. I don't know. We got to figure that out. But no, that's not something I do in my spare time. Is try to come up with baseball pitches that our guys play like.
We'll stay in the back in the middle there.
Jamal Murphy, Hoops HQ. Just back to Caleb Love. You obviously matched up with him a bunch, since the start of his career. You mentioned he's, become a better passer. Just from seeing him at the start to now, what other improvements have you seen from him?
Well, I think just his game has grown, and I think just with the job Tommy's done, Arizona, the way they play up tempo, he's the same player in terms of how he scores and all that. He's just better at everything. And I think that's a credit to his growth and the job that, him, his teammates, coaching staff, everybody that's helped him. But he's scoring off the bounce, scoring off catch and shoot to the rim. He's continued to develop all around as a player. But I mentioned the passing. I think that's been, noticeable and who he is all around, I would say.
We're going to come here front and center using the opposite mic.
Rich Harris, Hoops Prospects again. Coach, do you get annoyed at all the noise around Cooper because he made the comments that he might want to come back to Duke, and everyone keeps on saying, "Oh, he's crazy." I actually saw an article a couple days ago that put a dollar figure on it. When people just, I know I'm kind of getting my opinion in here, but I think they're overlooking the whole college experience. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, a couple things. One, I think you would be amazed with how much I really don't read or block out. So that's the first thing. So that's news to me that people are still talking about that. I didn't know that. I'll say this, and this is aside from Cooper, because Cooper is about to move on with something incredibly special. The next step he's going to go after this. But happiness doesn't necessarily equate to, just becoming a pro or just making money. And although they're making money either way now, but I think it's important for guys to, each guy is their own individual. So I think depending on the situation, guys should make the decisions for themselves. But Cooper's thing is different. Cooper's thing is, that's said and that's going to happen, and as it should. But I don't even know the article you're referencing. I don't know what people are saying. So I'm focused on Arizona, and that's it.
We do have a question on Zoom from KCUB. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get them up and running, so if you can do it in the back.
Coach Schreier, David Kelly, Wildcats Radio 1290. Is it true that Arizona was one of your final choices when you were being recruited for college? And if that's so, what do you remember about the Lute Olson experience of that recruiting process and why ultimately Arizona was not the place you chose to go to?
Well, yeah, you're taking me back now. That was, it feels like a long time ago. They were, my final three were Duke, Illinois, and Arizona. And I just love Coach Olson. He was awesome to meet, to be around. I had a great visit there, although the visit was on the heels of Arizona actually playing Illinois in, I think, Elite Eight game, I think it was. But just love Coach Olson, love the way they played. And ultimately, it wasn't about what wasn't right at Arizona, it was about what was right at Duke. And that's just where I felt I belonged and where my heart belonged. But yeah, really respected those guys and loved the time there.
NC Pork, good for the plate, great for the state.